I just got off the phone with one of my friends, and we were going back and forth talking about this great deception that the world is in right now. And it just seems like the world is backwards and upside down and inside out, and the wrong things seem absolutely right, and the right things seem absolutely foolish. And people are so divided, and it just seems like through the pandemic everyone has an opinion, and everyone is controversial about what's right and what's wrong, and who's right and who's wrong, and who's an expert and who's false, and all these things. And I just want to share my experience. So when I was in college, I had the opportunity to potentially work for both Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson. And the experiences that I had were very extreme for me. They never made sense. And this was when I was probably about 20, 21 years old, and then 24 when I had an opportunity for work for both of those companies. But God stopped me from working for both of those companies, and it was like a hard no. And I'm going to tell you the situation. So the first interview I had was when I was about 21 years old for an internship with Pfizer that would have led to a really great job. And I remember going into the interview, and I had a 4.0. I mean, I was the top student in my business school. I interviewed well. I pretty much have gotten any job I've ever wanted, and I was pretty much the best of the pick. But when it came time for me to go into the interview, this mood came over me. It was like this mood that I just never had before. And so I went into the interview, and I just couldn't shake this feeling like I don't care about working for, I'm not going to put my best foot forward, or whatever the case was. So I went through the interview, and even though I had everything, all the credentials to get the job, they ended up not offering me the job. And everybody else that interviewed got the job but me. So I felt like the one person who was left out. And I cried and I cried and I cried, and I'm just like, why? Why didn't I get the job? It was a really high paying internship, and it would have led to a really high paying job. And it was just no reason why I didn't get it. And I just was like, God, why didn't I get it? And I ended up coming back home to Texas, getting another job that I really, really, really did not want. And over the course of that summer, my relationship with the Lord grew, and it just became this intimate time. That summer really changed my whole relationship with the Lord. That whole summer, I read the whole Bible. I was so lonely and I was so bored that it was like I was in this environment that was perfect for my relationship with the Lord to grow. And this intimacy grew, and it pretty much set in motion the rest of my life and my relationship with the Lord out of that summer. And I knew that it was because I didn't go to work for Pfizer that the Lord sent me in a different direction. Fast forward until my graduate year of college, where I got a job opportunity to interview for an actual job after graduation with Johnson & Johnson. And I remember the night before I was going to board my flight to go to New Jersey, where they were headquartered, the Lord knocked me out on the floor, and I was slain in the spirit without nobody touching me. And while I was down on the floor, the Lord said, don't get on the plane and do not go to the interview. And so I remember getting off the floor, and I'm in a room full of people, and my mom is there, and I'm like, Mom, the Lord just told me not to go to my job interview. And of course, you tell a black mother that you are about to graduate and the Lord just told you you're not going to go take this job making $110,000 as a 22-year-old. My mom was like, that was not God. So the next day, she took me to the airport. She said, you're going to that interview. I get on the plane and I feel like I'm disappointing God. So as the plane starts to take off, this heavy fear of the Lord comes upon me, and I start wailing and crying and sobbing with just snot and tears. And I was literally wailing on the plane because the fear of the Lord came upon me. And the Lord said, I told you not to get on this flight. And so as the plane is about to take off, the flight attendant comes, down to do the seatbelt thing. And she sees me there sobbing. And she's like, what is wrong with you? And I tell her, the Lord told me to get off this plane. And do you know this woman went up, called the flight control people, had them turn the plane back so that I could get off the plane. And she went and had the people come and get my luggage. They don't even do this type of stuff. This is a commercial flight. Like it was like Delta or something. She had the people go get the baggage from under the plane and get me off that flight. She was like, if God told you to get off this flight, you are not flying with us. And she put me off the plane. And when I remember seeing my mom's face, trying to explain to her why I didn't go to interview with Johnson & Johnson. And I just kept being like, God, why didn't you want me to work for them? Why don't you want me to have this good job? Why are you telling me no? And the Lord never answered me. And I never understood why I couldn't work for Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson. And it's not until 2021 when these two companies are at the head of this great deception that the world is in, that it makes sense to me why the Lord put up his hand and he blocked it. And it was like extreme. It was very extreme. That it wasn't like one of those things where you speculate like God is like, no. It was very extreme. And I'm just putting the pieces of the puzzle together now that I'm seeing this great deception that is coming to the world, where the wrong seems right and the people who are speaking truth seem like fools. And those people who are saying, no, don't do this, people are like, you're the crazy ones. And the ones who are in such deception are the ones speaking the truth, or speaking to everyone as if it's the truth and they're believing it. And the Lord reminded me, I didn't let you work for those companies for a reason. And it didn't make sense to me at the time. And I still don't have the full understanding. But I know that there's wickedness in high places. And that these companies are not the savior of the world. They're not. They're absolutely not. And I'm not saying this because people are going to say you're anti-science and you're anti-doctors and you're anti-this and anti-that. No, I'm not. I'm not anti any of that. I'm literally receiving the wisdom and the remembrance of what the Lord did in my life 15 years ago, that he was speaking to me then, and I didn't have the spiritual maturity at the time to understand what he was warning me about and why he was not allowing me to go down a path that made sense to everybody else. It made sense to my mother. It made sense to my professors. It made sense that this is the perfect life for me. But to God, he's like, no, absolutely not. You will not be a part of those companies. You will not go there. And so I'm just sharing this insight for whoever will listen to this video, that maybe one day it'll make sense, even in more clarity. And maybe this small testimony will make sense for someone who's out there wondering, scratching their head saying, something's not right. Something's not adding up. Something's not making sense. Something's not sounding like the truth. Something's I need to look a little deeper into this. I need to read the warning labels before I move forward with this. Maybe I need to do a little bit more research. Maybe I need to pray a little bit longer. And I'm just encouraging everybody, live by faith. There's nothing these companies that can produce for you that's going to save your life. There's no bulletproof formula that's going to save your life. Don't believe a lie. There's nothing you can put into your body that's going to save your life. But faith, we live by faith, because God is the only one that can put a hedge of protection around you, or that can spare your life, or that can extend your life, or that can give you more years to your life, or that can heal you when sickness or affliction comes. God is the only one. He's the only answer. Don't put your faith in something that these companies are creating. Put your faith in the God who is God over all of humanity. He's God over all of us. And I just pray for each and every one who's watching this video that God will begin to take the scales off of your eyes to be able to see and hear and understand what the truth is. And it's not going to be necessarily what makes sense to the world. And you might seem like the lost one, or the foolish one, or the fool, because of the way you think. But that doesn't mean you're wrong.